Hello, my loves. Hello, hello, hello. My name is Dustina. This is Spiritual Boujee Astrology, and we're going to take a look at the astrological transits tied to December 18th to December 24th. Yes, that's right. We end this week in Christmas Eve. This is going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Anyways, before we do any type of recap or get into the week ahead, I want to do just a quick little thing with everybody. I've been keeping everybody updated. If you ordered readings that last week of November, a lot of them have already gone out. I think I have like 1 or 2 left that need to go out like the first part of this week. And then afterwards, if you bought in the first week of December, then those readings are going to start going out. So those will start going out probably about Tuesday or Wednesday of this week. It kind of depends on how the energy plays out for us this week, because there's a lot of energy to this week. If you have already received your readings, your pre-recorded intuitive natal chart readings, letting you know the energy breakdowns and everything, and you also bought the package that includes the one-on-one, I'm reminding everybody now, you have to let me know when you are ready to schedule your one-on-one session. I said this to you whenever I delivered your readings. I'm saying it now again on the podcast, just as a quick little reminder. If you have a one-on-one that you purchased, you have to let me know you've had enough time to process your first reading before we do the one-on-one session. I'm not a pusher. I don't push anybody. I'm a type of person, I know I trigger things in other people. I trigger fear. I trigger transformation. I trigger all sorts of things in people. So I don't push myself onto anybody. You got to tell me you are ready. So if you have a one-on-one purchase, but we haven't done it yet, get with me to schedule them. If you are curious about what my readings are like, my intuitive readings do a breakdown as to like letting you know certain elements of your big three, what the themes of the year are, what your activation planets are, what they have been doing to you recently, what they're doing to you now, and what they're taking you to into the future based off of what's going on in the transits against your natal chart. Whether there's a karmic element, whether there's a soul path element, I like to be able to give you a breakdown of those things that are individual to you. And then my one-on-one sessions are more like coaching sessions. I help people in health coaching. I've helped people in business coaching. I help people in all sorts of different types of elements tied to their lives. It's not specific to one little area. People really need to understand that once you really get a grasp on the astrology can help you get through big times in your life, harsh times in your life, difficult times in your life. Astrology has a way to help us through it, give us a timeline on how bad it's going to be, how long it's going to last, and when things are going to start to turn around. That's what the astrology is for. And that's what a lot of my one-on-one sessions will start to go over, is where we're going next, the dates involved, and then whatever guidance additional we need on top of the transits. Like I always do tarot for people too. I honestly always, I shouldn't say always. I do tarot for people in those one-on-ones by request. So if you are interested in a reading and you did not book in the month of November, that's okay. I still have gift certificates. I still have, availability for everybody. But if you've already had your reading and it's time to schedule your one-on-one, you have to let me know when you are ready to schedule that one-on-one, because I don't push anybody. Okay. Moving along. I'm going to do a recap of not just the last week, but I also want to talk about the last 2 weeks. Specifically since Mercury went into Capricorn, because this all kind of plays into where we're going to go into the next few days. December 1st, Mercury went into Capricorn. And there was other things going on in the sky that week was pushing us to change our mindset, was pushing us to take a different reflection in the energy and get a strategy involved to do something. That strategy was a communication, it was a request, it was an opportunity, it was something that was delivered in the last 2 weeks, that once it was delivered, especially if it came through last week, it was met with a hesitancy. It was met with a resistance. We didn't quite know what to say, how to think about it, what to do. And part of that had to do with the fact that Mercury was starting to slow down and station to start its retrograde. And we started the Mercury retrograde last week. As Mercury was spinning at the 8-degree mark in the sky, we also had the sun's square to Neptune. Now, on the day that I'm recording this, Sunday morning, the sun is still in a square to Neptune. As we start Monday, the sun will still be in its square to Neptune, but we're separating. It's starting to come apart. It was the most exact on Saturday. And if you listen to last week's forecast, I said we would get to a point towards the end of the week that we weren't ready to make fast decisions, that we weren't going to be clear on doing certain things, that some of us were going to be met with confusion, confused in the moment. Some of us were waiting to see how something was going to turn out. We were the ones that got met with resistance, and we just needed to give time for them to think about it. And there has been a fog, a cloud that kind of followed the energy through the weekend. And for some people, as we got into the weekend, there was a lethargy. I even had some people tell me, like, I feel like I have the flu, but I don't have the flu at all. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense, because that's the Sun-Neptune square. It fogs the senses. It fogs our tenacity. It fogs our ability to do something, because we need to take time to think things over. Now, not everybody was in a negative sense. Not everybody was meeting things with hesitancy. I also saw a lot of waves of curiosity, and I said that would happen too, but I thought it was funny because some people I saw curiosity and hesitancy literally happening simultaneously. Like, I'm really curious on this meeting. I'm really curious on how this is going to go, but at the same time, I don't want to do it. Like, okay, that makes sense. Okay, kind of goes into the energy too. Yeah, okay. For some of us, there was an opportunity that, again, was both curious and hesitant. Oh, this sounds so exciting. It sounds so amazing, but I'm really happy with where I'm at. I'm really happy in this situation. I don't necessarily know that I want to make a change. I wasn't even thinking about a change, but then this opportunity came through. And again, there was a hesitancy, but not in a negative sense. It was more along the lines of, I don't know. I got to think about it. I need to talk it over with my house. Wow. My husband. My spouse. I was going to say spouse, and then I went to husband, and I don't know. My spouse, my significant other, my partner, my person. I need to talk it over with my people, my tribe. I don't know. For some people, it was an inspiration. And there was a bit of inspiration with the sun square to Neptune. And the curiosity that played through was, I want to learn a little bit more. I want to dig a little bit deeper. I want to hear some more. I want to see more of it. And it's one of those moments that you go through YouTube and you just start looking through all the different type of like baking videos, or all the types of videos of how you would do aerial yoga, or how you would do something that would be physical. The sun is in Sagittarius. Something that you would do based off experience. It is an experience that you're looking into. But a hesitancy too, because they're like, I'm going to fall on my face. I don't know that this is the right thing to do. I don't know. But there's an excitement in that curiosity. There's an excitement in that hesitancy. There's an anticipation that's building up. And based off what's happened over the last 2 weeks since Mercury went into Capricorn, many of us are going to find us going back over those same topics and making a decision tied to them this week. And the majority of us, that decision is going to come through anywhere between Monday and Thursday. The decision is going to come through. The decision is going to get made. We are moving towards something. But for us to make this decision, we're going to want to ask some questions. Have you tried this stuff before? No. Do you know anybody that's tried it? No. Get on Facebook and you ask the little question, who do I know that has tried this? Who do I know that has done this? Who do I know that works here? Like, I got questions. Because there's a curiosity. Other people, the hesitancy was towards an opportunity, towards a questioning, towards something that needed to be healed. Especially if the questioning came through in that Venus-Pluto square that happened in the last 2 weeks. Something that needed to be healed. An olive branch was extended, but again, that was met with a hesitancy. And we've needed time to consider. We've needed time to think it over. We needed time to determine if we want to do this or not. And what's going to happen over the next few days is going to be a questioning of whether we want to make a leap of any sort. Reconnecting with that family member that used to be a hurtful person to us, but we're seeing that change. Everybody has said, like, it's worth looking at. I don't feel like people are getting pushed. Everyone's got their own ways of dealing with things. Energetically, there shouldn't be a lot of like pushing, like, you need to forgive your dad. You need to forgive your uncle. You need to forgive your grandma. If that's the case, then that's individual personalities coming out. But energetically, the push is not harsh. There really isn't. Now, there is one element of this week that can come through in a harsh way. I shouldn't say one. There's one element that can come through harshly that can lead to a lot of activity and excitement later in the week. So that activity and excitement could later lead to something being very harsh. But all in all, there's only one true harsh element. And I feel like it's the launch pad type energy. And when we get into the week ahead, I'll explain that better. But a lot of where we're going in the next few days is we're working closer towards something in a hesitant, resistant, I don't know if I'm about this. I don't know if I'm going to agree to this. I don't know if I'm okay with this. I don't know if I believe that they're better. I don't know if I believe that they're healed. Energy. But the best way to understand it, the best way to believe it, the best way to overcome this fear is going to be taking an action. Taking an action, taking the step, taking the initiative, accepting the olive branch. And there will be certain actions this week that lead to such energy. For some people, you're going to continue to stay resistant. Like the people in your lives are pushing too hard, again, because of their actual personalities and their actual natal charts involved. They're all pushing too hard, and you're going to just hit this point closer to the end of the week where we just kind of go poof, and no, I don't want to do this. You can't make me do this. Leave me alone. That energy, if we hit a poof of energy like that, like we kind of blow our top a little bit, that energy can come through later in the week, but it really comes down to how you're dealing with this on an individual level. We're working towards something. We're trying to bridge over troubled waters. We're trying to move towards something that we're not entirely sure about. But for many of us, as we get towards the end of this week that we're going into, we're going to make that decision. Something will get revealed. Something will come to light that either solidifies, no, I'm not doing this. I was right to be resistant. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know your head from your ass in this moment. There's one element of that. Or it's going to be the clarity, the arrival, the finding of something that's going to be very solid. And you're going to realize, oh, something has changed. Oh, this is different. Oh, this can work. Oh, this will be okay. And it's all kind of comes down to what's going on in your individual lives and your individual karma and the other people involved in it. So let's get into the week. Let's get into Monday. Now, if you listen to last week's forecast, I said there was a very specific energy that starts playing out late on Sunday that continues into Monday, allowing us to know that it's time to have a conversation. It's time to ask the additional questions. It's time to do something. And that comes through again late Sunday evening going into Monday morning. So I'm literally starting this at 1:30 in the morning on December 18th. So in the overnight hours of Sunday going into Monday. The moon throughout Sunday evening makes a conjunction to Saturn. Where is this Mercury retrograde? In Saturn's sign. It's time. It's time to communicate something, to ask those questions, to tell someone how we feel, to do the follow-up to the previous requests. The moon in the conjunction to Saturn. Then over the overnight hours, the moon will both sextile Jupiter and sextile Mercury. On Monday, Mercury and Jupiter will have their second trine. And it's because of that second trine mixed with the rest of this energy that I feel like we start to ask the additional questions. Because you got to remember, Mercury is moving backwards towards Jupiter's sign into Jupiter's house while in this Antiscia to the sun. So again, we're working towards something. We're hesitant. We're curious. There's some level of resistance. There's some level of angst in the anticipation that is starting to play out physically, talkatively, coming through these next few days. And for some people, as the moon is going through Pisces, this conversation can be emotional. It can feel like nobody supports me. It can feel like nobody's there for me. It can feel like this is never going to be okay. It can feel like I don't know what to do. And there is an energy here that can very much speak to emotions coming to the surface the next few days, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Do not be surprised when emotions start to come to the surface. Now, again, we get the sextiles real late Sunday going into Monday. Early morning, so for me, Central Standard Time, this is going to go the most exact between 8:06 and 8:30, so I'm taking this to 8:30. Mercury is in its exact trine with Jupiter. Now, to be absolutely clear, we are in this energy all day. This is just when it's the most exact. So some of us are going to be waking up, having conversations, going back into the office, especially if the opportunity that we met with resistance was like a job thing, a work thing. Like this can be a part of that resistance energy of like, okay, I know you want me to take on this other position, but I'm really happy with my own. I need to ask some questions to find out if this is something that I would even really want to consider. I need additional details. I need to know how much the pay is going to be. I need to know if there's going to be a difference in my hours because it's still going to be flexible. Is it still going to be this, that? We got some questions. Some people will not like what they're hearing. Some, not all. But there's a questioning and a going back over a previous conversation. There's a next round of communication. There's a next round of something that came through literally last week. Last weekend. I should say it that way. So not the weekend that we're in right now, but the weekend before Mercury went retrograde. So that was whenever Venus hit the opposition to Jupiter and Mercury had its trine with Jupiter. So this was an energy, the energy that parts of us are playing out with this week happened anywhere in the last 2 weeks. A lot of us. Okay. Mercury, again, the exact trine happens between 8:06 a.m. and 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. So adjust for your individual time zones. There's something that we're questioning, something that we're going to go back over, something that we need more clarity on, something that we need more guidance on. We are in the trine energy all day. So this can actually play out for you anytime throughout the day. This is just the most exact when these two are at play. Now, the Sun and Neptune are still in their square on Monday. So here's the Sun, 26 degrees. Here's Neptune at 24. They're separating. And by the end of Tuesday, they're going to be far enough apart from one another that our ideas and things that we're wanting to do, they're not as clouded. And another reason they're not as clouded is because we've got the questions that are going to go on. There's a questioning, there's some information, there's going back over something from the past going on somewhere on Monday. Okay. Keep bumping this forward. The moon's going to be in Pisces all day long. When we get into the evening time, there's a different part of the energy that can come through. And this is really curious to me. So I'm going to stop it right here for just a second. Between 5:30 and 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, we have Venus going through a trine with the moon. Simultaneously, between 7 and 9 p.m., the moon is also going to go through a square from Mars. The Venus trine is supportive. Yes, things will go okay. Yes, I see why you've asked these questions. Yes, I see where this is going to go. Yes, I can help you. Yes, I will help you. Yes, there's something very supportive here, and I keep hearing yes. So I don't know if this is something from my personal life or what. Yes, we have thought things through. Remember, a lot of us, the reason we felt resistant to certain things before is we didn't think that the other person had thought something through very well. But as we ask the additional questions and we can get a game plan together, there can be more levels to the strategy, more information involved. The supportive element of Venus trine to the moon before Mars hits the square to the moon can be like, you should totally go talk to your dad. It's going to be great. Now, the Mars square might not feel so great because it's Mars. That's the god of war. But Venus is in Mars's sign. So the action that can be taken here can actually still be very, very healing. Remember, we have this layered effect going on between Venus, Mars, and Jupiter. I've been saying this for a while. Venus is in Mars' sign, Mars is in Jupiter's sign, but Jupiter's in Venus' sign. We got this little trifecta thing going on. Mercury is still in its trine to Jupiter. The moon is in Jupiter's sign. Mars is in Jupiter's sign. There's a lot of things that's playing into Jupiter's turnaround right here. So there is a support that is followed through with an action, that is followed through with more information. And depending on how the other person involved, whoever goes through that Mars part of this activation, this can, again, confirm an action that's about to happen, especially once the moon goes into Aries later in the week. But there's some element of this energy here that can also feel like the push. You need to make a decision right now. Nope. As soon as you hit that button, as soon as you start pushing me, nah, homie. No. I don't have to do anything. I can do whatever I want to do. And this is that one element that I felt like could be a push and could be a trigger for some people in the earlier part of the week. But for a lot more people, I feel like whatever we start to discuss Monday and Tuesday, now we're still on Monday, we're just on Monday evening, is going to lead to activity later in the week. There's something supportive. There is an action that's about to be had. There is a push to take a certain action. And depending on who's doing the pushing in your actual real life, can be whether you take that push in a good way or a bad way. All right, moving along. In the overnight hours, so from 10:30 p.m. Monday to 12:30 a.m. on Tuesday, the moon is going to hit this sextile from Uranus. This doesn't feel heavy. It feels like a confirmation. It feels like a new level of information. It feels like hearing something exciting from another person, reading something exciting, listening to something exciting. And I know this is happening really late at night, but sometimes you just get some really good news really late. You get that last minute DM. I know me, I have so many clients in so many different time zones. Because when you message me sometimes it's like 1 a.m. for me, but ironically enough, I'm still awake. It's that late night, like confirmation, that late night, like budge of excitement. And considering the moon all throughout Monday evening makes a touch to Venus, Mars, and Uranus. Again, whatever is playing out Monday evening going into Tuesday can very, very much speak to an activity or an action that is going to happen later in the week. Maybe not in the immediate, but there's an excitement that's going to set in later in the week. Okay. Sorry. I'm sorry, this movie is long. So now we're going to get into the 19th. Now we're going to get into Tuesday, Now, Tuesday's interesting. The moon's going to be in Pisces for most of the day. Later in the evening, it's going to move into Aries. We have the ability to reactivate the Sun-Neptune square because we're going to have some level of clarity. I'm getting this to the early morning. Yes. Okay. So between 7 and 9:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, the moon is going to make a conjunction to Neptune. If something piqued our curiosity in the last 2 weeks, say you weren't doing the resistance thing, it was more along the lines of the curiosity. The moon's conjunction to Neptune can be confirming we're going to take this leap. We're going to go try it out. I'm so excited. This is still happening in Jupiter's sign. And remember, Jupiter is still in this trine to Mercury. It's separating. They're actually a degree apart by the time we get to Tuesday morning. But there's still the element of this trine that's at play. It can be confirming what we didn't think was clear. It can be pushing for something to be discovered. It can be pushing for somebody to make a decision, to explain why they're confused about something, what it's going to take to get out of the fog, get out of the confusion, to make a decision. For some people, this is an element of surprise. We have elements of surprise that can play out anytime this week. This can be one element of it. The other thing that can be going on here is discovering the effect of something, and this can have absolutely nothing to do with anything else. With the moon's conjunction to Neptune, it could be discovering something first thing in the morning or feeling the effects of something first thing in the morning. By the time we get to lunch, I'm going to keep going to about 12:30. We're going to enter our quarter moon. So this isn't exact. It's actually exact at 12:40 p.m. So we're at 10 minutes off. That's fine. But the moon is still in its conjunction to Neptune. The moon is in its square to the sun. This is our first quarter moon. This is a watery, emotional first quarter moon that's leading into an emotional full moon in Cancer. Something that we've been foggy or clouded about, we needed time to think about. I feel like, again, somewhere between Monday and Tuesday, we make a decision that's going to lead to actions. This can be the revealing time frame somewhere on Monday. That we need to get a game plan together, that we need to get something going. You need to, if you can find the answers to these questions and I'm agreeable to the answers to these questions, say the person that you're asking questions from doesn't have all the answers at that moment, like, cool, I'm willing to negotiate. I'm willing to work through this. I'm willing to help you, but I need some additional questions answered. And this can be where we reveal those questions. This could be where we get the answer to the questions. Some of us did the questions on Monday. Some of us are doing them on Tuesday. But there is an element of trying to break through the fog. And again, if we had something going on last week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, where we were clouded, not having a lot of energy, not feeling very well, there can be some element of that understanding that's coming through right here between the moon's conjunction to Neptune in the morning and the moon square to the sun in the evening, or in the afternoon, I should say evening. We are reactivating some element of that Sun-Neptune square on Tuesday. We need to understand something. Again, we need to break through the fog. Again, we need additional info for clarity. And if we get the right answers, it's going to lead to another round of communication, another round of strategy coming through. Negotiation, strategy, conversations, not in the immediate, but in the next few days. Okay. You can see the first quarter moon right here. After this first quarter moon, the next thing that happens is the moon is going to hit a small sextile to Pluto. This could be telling somebody, okay, like I asked the questions, I'm waiting to hear from more. I'm waiting to work past this. I don't want to be scared about the idea of helping somebody. I don't want to be scared about the idea of change. I don't want to be scared about something. Moon sextile to Pluto, not a heavy energy. The moon is still in its square to the sun, whatever that's going through that sextile to Pluto. So again, not a heavy energy. But we do start to feel our energy pick back up. We do start to feel ourselves reach a different type of energy, pick a little bit back up from where we have been, get a little bit more in our umph in our step as we continue through Tuesday. Maybe not in the immediate, but as we continue. Okay. At 4:47 p.m. Central Standard Time, the moon is going to go into Aries. So I've got this at 5:30. You can see the moon's now in Aries. And this is where we start to lead into some of the actions. We find ourselves in a different mindset as we get into the evening. We find ourselves picking up a little bit more. I like the moon in Aries this time. I feel like it has a whole slew of answers that are going to come through. And for some people, the answers will come through in the evening time. For other people, it's going to be, the human effect is going to be Wednesday morning. And the reason I'm saying that is because as we get into the later parts of the evening, the moon is going to go into a square with Mercury. Now, this goes the most exact between 10:30 p.m. Central Standard Time and 12:30 a.m. going into Wednesday, going into the 20th. It's 11:30. The moon's at 3 degrees, 55 minutes, squaring Mercury, which is retrograde, at 4 degrees and 2 minutes. Mercury is leaving its trine with Jupiter, but it's re-entering its sextile with Saturn. There's something that we were trying to understand these last few days. That's a part of a turnaround energy. For some of us, it had to do with something in our personal lives. For some of us, it had to do with some type of professional opportunity. Some of us, it's been a curiosity and inspiration type thing, and we're starting to look at the idea of taking an action or taking a step towards something, overcoming a hump. There's a big element of overcoming a hump as we have the moon go through Aries this week. And the more and more we get into this energy, the more excitement starts to build. And there is going to be something that's going to be very spontaneous that starts to occur anywhere between the 20th, 21st, and 22nd. Why do I say that? Not only do we have the moon going through Aries, but we also have Venus building her opposition to Uranus. This is interesting to me. So let's keep going. All right. At 1:30 a.m., the other thing that's going on is the moon is actually in its exact Contra-Antiscia to Neptune. Contra-Anticias are hidden alliances. So this is an agreement that not everybody needs to know about. This is an agreement to help somebody. This is an agreement to have a meeting. There's an agreement to talk a little bit more. There's an agreement that not everybody is going to be aware of quite yet. Contra-Antiscia, hidden alliance, backdoor meetings. This is not a bad thing. And given the way a lot of the other things are kind of playing out, again, whatever plays out Monday, Tuesday, going into Wednesday is leading to action. It's leading to activity. And the more activity starts to go on, the less resistant we are to whatever has come up the last few weeks going into this week. Okay. Now, when it comes to Wednesday, all the major energy is actually really playing out more in the overnight hours of Tuesday into Wednesday. After that, like, we don't have a whole lot going on. Like, Mercury is re-entering its sextile to Saturn. I really like the energy of Wednesday. I feel like we're getting closer to overcoming something. We're energetically filling with excitement, filling with anticipation, feeling like something's about to happen. But in the moment, Not a whole lot going on. It's just kind of a continuous flow of energy that's been going on already until we get to, Thursday. Okay. So, so let's get into this. Now, what I'm about to describe, again, the human effect, some of this can play out Wednesday evening. Transit wise, energetically, the exact moments are going to happen overnight hours of Wednesday going into Thursday. So for some of us, whatever is going on Wednesday evening, whatever angst and excitement, whatever type of buildup of energy is going to happen, we might not sleep a whole lot when it comes to Wednesday going into Thursday. Depends on your time zone. Because if this is playing out for you in a whole different time zone, then this is going to be a different type of energy. But for me, this is kind of going into the overnight hours. So there's a lot of energy playing out in the overnight hours of Wednesday night into Thursday. So first things first, Venus hits her exact opposition to Uranus between 12:55 and 1:14 a.m. Central Standard Time. So I've got this at 1:30, December 21st. Venus, 19 degrees, 40 minutes. Uranus, 19 degrees, 39 minutes. Remember what I said? We have an excitement building. We feel some type of excitement building, but if you don't know what's building, for a lot of people, this is going to be anxiety. This is going to feel angsty. This is going to feel like terrifying. And if you don't like the elements of surprise in any sort of way, then this can make people really snappy and really bitchy because the moon is going to be in Aries. So if you don't understand the energy that's hitting you, or you see people in your life, you're like, wow, you're really grumpy on Wednesday. What's going on with you? I don't know. Oh, hey. Did you know the energies affect you? The moon is in Aries. Oh yeah, Mercury's retrograde. Okay, just do your thing. And there can be the elements of that, especially on Wednesday. But I feel like with Thursday, there's so much going on that we're going to have more things at play, that this is going to be more, let's get something accomplished. Let's get through the moment. Let's get over the angst. Let's get over the anxiety. And that is a big element of Thursday. So Venus makes this opposition to Uranus. Now, there can be something that happens very unexpectedly. There can be some kind of communication late on Wednesday going into Thursday that happens unexpectedly that leads to the additional energy. The moon is going to trine Mars, and the moon is in Mars' sign. So this is really interesting to me. Right as Venus is in her opposition to Uranus, Mars is going to trine the moon in Mars' sign. This feels exciting. This feels really nice to me. Maybe it's just me wanting more excitement and wanting to see something see some activity start to happening. Knowing we just had that Sun-Neptune square and everybody kind of hit a foggy, not getting anything accomplished type energy, we can start to really get some things accomplished. And again, I said this in the Mercury retrograde video and in the month ahead video. There will be some people that they will not even make their Christmas plans until right around these few days. And it's because of these transits that I said that Sun-Neptune square of, I don't know if I want to come home. I don't know if I want to make the sleep. I don't know if I want to make that travel. I don't know. We're going to know this week. And the most exact energies play out overnight Wednesday into Thursday. Mars is in Jupiter's sign, full steam ahead, separating from the sun, starting to get its vision back, starting to be able to see a little more clearly, not as snowblind as he has been. Like the sun is starting to change its direction. It's starting to shift away. And sometimes you can just kind of like, okay, let me adjust my visor. Let me get the sunglasses on differently. And you can see parts of the road. That's what's up with Mars right now. The moon is in Mars' sign. There is a bit of a green light in some of the energy that something is going well. There's an anticipation that we've been waiting on that suddenly hits an energy right around here. Now, The Mars-Moon trine goes the most exact between 1:30 and 3:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. So I'm going to just bump this another hour to 2:30 and you can kind of see it a little bit better. Here's the moon at 19. Here's Mars at 19. Venus and Uranus are still at 19. There's a gas pedal energy here that I'm really excited for. It really just kind of comes down to, again, what you are dealing with in your personal life. But for a lot of people, this is an exciting momentum energy picking up. And it's also going to lead to a different level of understanding and a different level of overcoming something as we get through the day on Thursday. Hear me out. There's a lot more going on. We're only at 2:30 in the morning. So let's keep going. Mercury is going to hit its exact sextile today. So here's Mercury, here's Saturn. This exact sextile actually plays out between 6:32 and 6:49 a.m. Central Standard Time. So now I've got it at 6:30. Here is Mercury, 2 degrees, 23 minutes. Here's Saturn, 2 degrees, 22 minutes. There was a strategy that we started to make the first few days of December. The 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, these few days. We were talking to somebody, trying to get a strategy, trying to figure something out. We were getting a plan together. That plan included the olive branch. That plan included expressing an opportunity to somebody. And we are waiting for the reveal. We're waiting for them to confirm. They're waiting for them to say something. Some of us, we were the ones that had the opportunity. We were the ones that had something revealed. And as this week has progressed, we've asked additional questions because you need to ask the additional questions. You did, you need to, you will, whether you want to or not, because either you're going to come through and start asking the questions or they're going to come through and make you ask the questions. They're going to ask more questions of you, like, what do we need to do to make this happen? What do you need to do to feel better about the idea? What do we need to do? And there is an element of that playing out right around here. Okay. Many of us put together a strategy this first few days of December, and now we're seeing the actions and the activities tied to that strategy. That can happen anywhere on a Wednesday, but this is the most exact time frame for Saturn and Mercury. Between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m., the moon will hit a conjunction to the North Node. This is not a heavy energy, and a lot of people, it's going to be very boastful. Given all the other elements involved, given that we're going into that trine, or we're still in that trine to Mars, and we're in Mars' sign, there is a hopeful, boastful element going on here. And many of us can feel very, very consumed by that. And if we're letting our ego become consumed, if we're letting our emotions be consumed in the moment, this is where we can start to feel a trigger building up inside. And if you start to feel a trigger throughout the day on Thursday, check yourself. If you see somebody else that's building up in a negative way, get them to break away for a second. Get them to take a walk. Take them outside if you need to. Boom. Trust me on this. Trust me on this, because we're not done. We're going to get to the evening time. So I'm going to get this up to roughly around, I guess we'll do 7:30. Okay. There's a energy that's playing out between 6 and 10 p.m. in two different planets with the moon at this 29-degree mark of Aries. So again, we have something that we're about to overcome. We have something that can be very, very triggering. And that's because we're going to have first, between 6 and 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, the moon is going to hit this square from Pluto. This can be triggering. For some people, there can be a push. For some people, there can be something very, I hate to say abusive, but it's the truth, combative, argumentative in some way with Pluto in the square to the moon. This is where I was saying we'll have something later in the week that can get triggered. But simultaneously, the moon is also going through a trine with Jupiter at the 29-degree mark of Sagittarius. And the sun and the moon will actually still be in their trine when they change signs. So we can have this angst and this anticipation and this energy kind of building up all day, that if we don't know how to control it, if we start to feel very, very consumed by it, that it can lead to something being very, very fearful. But there's a lot of things that we're in the process of closing out in this transitional month, because remember, the entire month is a transitional energy that's endings and beginnings. There's something very, very telling about transitioning from something on Thursday and into something on Friday. Quite literally. The human effect is different. It can happen Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, any of these few days. But the most exact astrologically is happening Thursday evening. So, Mercury's still in its sextile to Saturn, has been all day. We're seeing the next wave of a strategy, of a plan, of something that we communicated in the past, coming around, coming to light, coming to the surface. In some ways, we can have some elements of fear, past trauma, a past situation that needs to be healed and overcome. Considering the sun is at this 29-degree mark in the trine to the moon, whatever we've had a fear over, whatever our anxiety is over, whatever angst we are feeling, once we get to the later parts of the evening, it stabilizes. That wasn't so bad. This wasn't that bad of a visit. I'm really glad we went to dinner with them. I'm really glad we did that early Christmas thing with them. Like, I'm really glad we did this. Yeah, me too. That was a great idea. It's a great thing that we did. All day, there's an angst and an anxiety building up to it. We take down this action. We can see how much somebody has changed. Something has changed. Something has turned around. Something isn't the way that we thought it was. And once that ego check comes in with the sun and the moon, and both of them go from the fiery signs to the earth signs together, something stabilizes. So let me show you how they do this. 7:30, you can see them right here. Again, sun, trine, moon. The moon is going to enter Taurus at 8:51 p.m. Central Standard Time. So I'm going to bump this to 9:30, so 2 hours. Bump, bump. What happens? 9:30 p.m. The sun is at 0 degrees and 22 minutes in Taurus, in its place of exaltation. He's very, very happy here. Here's the sun at 0 degrees of Capricorn. It has also changed signs. It has also moved into an earth sign. We have the ability very, very quickly to overcome a fear and to stabilize something emotionally based off of all the excitement and angst that's been building up the last few days. Right here. I'm so glad that we did this. I'm so glad they came over. I'm so glad that we had more time. I'm so glad I made this decision. I was so worried about telling mom and dad that I was going to take that job offer in that other state, in that other country, in that other place. Like, I was so anxious about telling them about this decision. But by the time we get to the evening, we're not afraid anymore. I'm not afraid anymore. Home Alone. Anyways, moving this along. Okay. The moon is also going to trine Mercury. This happens in the overnight, like going through that overnight hours between 10:30 p.m. and 12:30 a.m. So there's something here about, one, the change of the mindset, one, the change of the opinion, and then two, voicing that to somebody else, letting somebody know we're going to see them again tomorrow. We're going to do more tomorrow. There's something about tomorrow that's very much here. We'll see you tomorrow in some way. And I'm saying this because this is like 12:30 at night. Even though this is already the 22nd, most of us, we don't call it tomorrow until we wake up the next day. At least I don't. I was like, oh no. It's still yesterday. It's still today. Tomorrow is after I wake up. Anyways, let's keep it going. The moon's going to be in Taurus all day on Friday. And I want to get to roughly around here. So this is 7:30 in the morning. I'm fine with this. We got two things going on, and this is super funny to me. One, with the sun having just came into Capricorn, and it did that trine to the moon. For a lot of people, that energy of Thursday evening, that was also an arrival. Like, you were traveling all day, and the angst and the anxiety was frustrating you all day, and you finally get to that point of your destination, and shit just calms down. Okay, I want to take a shower. I want to go to bed. We can talk more in the morning. Okay, let's talk more in the morning. Sounds great. Let's do that. Let's talk more over coffee. We can have some breakfast. We can enjoy our Friday together, because a lot of people, you're taking a longer weekend for the holiday. So you did travel on Thursday, or you are trying to wrap up your work stuff on Thursday so that way you can go somewhere on Friday. And we have, for a lot of people, an arrival, a clarity, a revelation, a discovery that comes through somewhere on Friday. And again, we can be revealing that recent decision. We can be, again, going into the elements of how we accept that little olive branch situation. We can be debuting something that we didn't expect to tell everybody, like, look, we're pregnant. We can be coming to terms with something and telling everybody. But there's something here that feels very, very stabilizing, even in the clarity, even in the discovery, even in what's being presented, what's being shown. Once we arrive to the place that we want to arrive to, we see so much. And again, it is hopeful and it is stabilizing because the moon is in Taurus. The moon is making a conjunction to Jupiter. Now, the moon's conjunction to Jupiter happens between 6 and 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. So I have this right here at 7:30 in the morning. The moon's just past its conjunction, but you can see them right here together. The moon's at 6 degrees, 3 minutes. Jupiter is at 5 degrees and 42 minutes. So you can see the conjunction. Simultaneously, though, we also have the Mercury Cazimi. The Mercury Cazimi. Oh, this is great. I love this. I'm so excited for this Mercury Cazimi. The last time Mercury was at 0 degrees of Capricorn was December 1st. And I said, December 1st, 2nd, 3rd, there is a plan, there is a strategy, there's confirmation, there's conversations that are being had right around here that are going to come back to us at a later date. This is like, we had a strategy, we extended the olive branch, we gave the opportunity, we did it, we've done something. And then we're getting to Friday and there's an acceptance, there's an arrival, there is clarity. There is something very, very stabilizing in this moment. It's not often that I get to say stable and Mercury Cazimi at the same time. And Mercury retrograde. This is stable. This is something very stable, hopeful, healing in this moment. I like this energy. Okay. Revealing opportunities. There's a lot going on here. Venus is still in that opposition to Uranus. They're separating. I don't mind this energy. I still feel like we had an excitement the last few days that's led to some of the actions that are going on right now. And now the moon is in Venus' sign while Venus is separating from its opposition to Uranus. So I feel like we've been in the angst of doing something for the last few days. And once we finally arrive, once we finally show up, once it finally happens, it doesn't feel frustrating. It doesn't feel like a bunch of angst. If we could have Christmas on Friday or Saturday, that would have been better. Honestly, these are the days that you should celebrate Christmas, in my opinion. Anyways. Now, the Mercury Cazimi is actually not exact until the afternoon, between 12:47 and 12:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. So you can see right here, I've got it at 12:30, December 22nd. Mercury is at 0 degrees, 40 minutes. The sun is at 0 degrees and 38 minutes. And you got to remember, these two have been very resistant through their Antiscia the entire time. But once the sun crossed into Capricorn the night before, we got over resistance. We got over a hump. We got through something. We worked through something very, very big. And now this is a revealing. This is something coming to light. This is something being expressed. This is a light bulb moment for a lot of people. This feels really good. Some people are going to see somebody from the past for the first time and just see how much they have changed. And again, it's going to be hopeful. It's going to be restorative. It's going to have like a heartwarming energy to it. Some people are going to reveal, a decision or reveal something that has gone on. And it can lead to some questions, but not in the negative sense. There's not any other harsh aspects that's coming through the energy right here. For a lot of people, it's just the arrival. It's the people that are coming through, the people from the past, that nostalgic energy of like, come on in, come home. I'm so glad to see you. Put your gifts under the tree. This is where room you're staying in. Da 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 da. I like the energy of the 22nd. Okay. After the Cazimi, Mercury's still going to be in Capricorn all day. We don't have a whole lot of other transits lunar-wise or anything else going on in the moment on the 22nd. So really, we're in the same vibe all day. We're in that same energy. We're in that same vibe. We're seeing new things. And we're going to get to the point that we get into the 23rd. So on Saturday, the moon's going to be in Taurus all day. Mercury is going to re-enter Sagittarius right after midnight at 12:18 a.m. Central Standard Time. So for me, it's right after midnight. I've got it at 12:30. Here is Mercury, 29 degrees, 59 minutes, like freshly re-entered. Oh, I do not mind the first 2 days of Mercury being back in Sag. I don't. There can be a lot of excitement. There can be a lot of hopefulness. There can be a lot of nostalgia energy. I don't mind them these few days. It is once the moon goes into Gemini that I'm going to have a very different opinion, but I don't mind it right now. What I do want to bring up is the fact that Jupiter is spinning. Jupiter's trying to get something turned around. Jupiter's trying to heal something. Jupiter's at a very vibrant point in the sky. And this point in the sky was where Venus, Jupiter had their first of 3 squares. This is where Mercury's retrograde ended back in May of 2023. This is where we had our out of sign eclipse point, this 5-degree mark for Jupiter, where Jupiter's at right now. This is where we had that eclipse point back on October 29th. And this is where Jupiter's going to be for a month. Has been at this point in the sky, this 5-degree mark, has been here for over a week now. It started on December 15th. Mercury going back into its detriment right now. The first few things that get said by some people might kind of catch us off guard, but we're not quick to react to them. Because we are very much still in an overcoming type energy. But I also want to bring up the fact that the Antiscia between the sun and Mercury is going to change, because now every time the sun takes a step forward, Mercury is going back over areas of the sky that he hasn't dealt with since November. So for some of us, what's going to start to come up through the rest of December, starting on the 23rd, is going to be things that are going to be coming up from April, May, June. April, May, June. April, May because of that Mercury retrograde. June because of the Venus-Jupiter square that occurred on June 11th. And or that eclipse, which was late October. Many of us are going to be going back to old topics following December 23rd. Some of us might actually have a slew of things from all of those dates. Some of us might only have one major timeline. Be aware of that. Because what we start to go over next is going over past areas of the sky, going over past themes that Jupiter and Mercury are now going to start to activate. But with the sun in Saturn sign, is it's time to work through it. It's time to overcome. It's time to heal. It's time to set some shit straight. Are we all doing that on the 23rd exactly? No, I said for the rest of the month. And it starts here. Anyways, moving this along. The Sun-Saturn sextile, that's going to be building all day. It does not happen on the 23rd. The moon is going to hit a conjunction to Uranus early in the morning. So this is going to go the most exact between 6:30 and 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. You can see the moon and Uranus are right on top of each other. They're very, very close at this moment. We can have something wake us up suddenly. We can have another round of communication. We can have that next arrival. If somebody did a last minute confirmation of, yeah, I'm going to travel there for Christmas, you just got to let me get the flight. Say that's what got decided on the 21st, 22nd, the 20th, 21st time frame. This can be that unexpected last minute arrival. The one that we weren't anticipating. We can have the next round of the unexpected energy that has already occurred earlier in this week, or it's just something very exciting in the moment, or it's a rude awakening because, again, it's Saturday morning and we anticipated sleeping in, but we get a rude awakening in some way, like something very unexpected. There can be something very unexpected this morning. Doesn't have to be the worst thing in the world. Some of us are going to have the unexpected guest show up that didn't confirm anything. We're like, oh, Uncle Joe's back. When's the last time you talked to Uncle Joe? I don't know. Last Christmas? Like, oh, well, he just showed up. Oh. After the moon's conjunction to Uranus, early 6:30 to 8:30 a.m., the moon is going to hit its opposition to Venus. And in some ways, we can reactivate whatever occurred in the Venus-Uranus opposition a few days prior. We can have the next round of confirmation. If we had some type of unexpected communication that came through earlier in the week, again, this can be the next round of that, the next inkling of that. The moon's opposition to Venus doesn't have to be negative. It doesn't have to be argumentative. The moon is in Venus's sign. So this is like two people learning about each other, because sometimes when we go to the holidays, we got like two people that have never met before. You got your sister's got the new boyfriend, and you're like, oh yeah, I like dogs too. I like hockey too. I like wrestling too. And you start bonding. This is a bonding moment. This is that holiday bonding moment of getting to know the new family, making sure that you like the family you're about to marry into. Making sure everybody's vibing. There can be some nostalgic energy in the air, but there's something here that can be very exciting in the moment. Okay. I don't mind Saturday at all. Like I said, if we could have Christmas on a Friday or Saturday, that would be great. That would be awesome. Okay. Between 4 and 6 p.m., the moon is going to hit a sextile to Neptune. There's a nostalgic energy here. This is like, when's the last time you made eggnog like this? When's the last time you had grandma's recipes? I did all of the recipes that I'm doing was from grandma. Oh my God, I haven't had grandma's ham in forever. I haven't had that kind of mashed potatoes. I haven't had this dish. And there's a nostalgia element here. For some people, you get the kids involved. It's like, oh, hey, I'm going to teach you how to make this. This is what grandma taught me to do. This is what mom taught me to do. This is this thing. And we're doing something that speaks to, again, inner peace, the heart, a level of nostalgia. The moon just hit that opposition to Venus. Venus is entering her trine to Neptune. So there can be something here about like a connectivity of something that we're going to do later. Have you ever seen these kind of Christmas lights? Have you ever done this type of a holiday thing? Oh, this is what we do on the holiday. And this could be educating somebody of something nostalgic, of something that's about to happen that hasn't happened. It can be elements of all of it. Not a heavy energy. Again, if we could get away with celebrating Christmas on Friday or Saturday, this is the better days to do it. I'm telling you. All right. Again, the moon's going to have its sextile with Neptune between 4 and 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Very healing, nostalgic, fun, loving energy all throughout the evening. I love Friday. I love Saturday. I think they're great days. Those are really great days. Okay. Now, going overnight into the 24th, the moon is still going to be in Taurus until 2:15 a.m. Central Standard Time. However, between 10:30, between 11:30 and 1:30, the moon is going to hit a trine from Pluto. I like trines with Pluto more so than I like anything else, but this can be a little bit of a hairy energy because the moon is about to go into Mercury's sign, and Mercury again is in its detriment. And I feel like this is where some of the energies is going to start to change for some people, even though we don't know in the moment that it's changing. So hear me out. Some of us got assholes for brothers. I'm the oldest of 16 kids, guys. Some of us have assholes for brothers. And if you've been friends with me for over 10 years, you are my brother also. So some of us have assholes for brothers. So I'm going to blame the brothers on this one. Hey, you ever gone cow tipping? Yes, I have had a friend do this to somebody before. So I'm using a real life example that has happened to one of my exes. You ever gone cow tipping before? What the hell is cow tipping? Oh, we're going to go out. Dusty, we're going to take him out. No, you're not. Yeah, we are. You're going to try to get him trampled on by a cow. It's like, that's what you're going to do. You're going to leave him in a pasture. Yes, sometimes brothers are assholes. There's been this continuous element that I have seen in my personal life, in my client's life, that these last few hits of when the moon goes through a trine with Pluto, but then later on a square to Saturn, there's some type of thing that it has a heavy trigger to it that leads to a questioning towards authority, towards responsibility, towards action. And this plays out in the overnight hours of Saturday going into Sunday. So again, you can have assholes for brothers that say things like, hey, you ever done this type of thing before? Oh, we're going to go in the morning. You should go with us. City boy, country boys, this stuff doesn't always mix. City boys fall for tricks. This is that type of energy. We say something that kind of goes, oh, I don't know how I feel about that. That's the moon's trine to Pluto. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know if I want to do that. I don't know if I want to go with you. I don't know if I trust you. But you don't really get a choice, and then something happens the next morning. Oh, sometimes it's hunting, especially on the holidays. You ever gone hunting? Oh, we're going to take you out in the morning. We got some extra stuff. You're going to go with us. And then in the early morning hours, after the moon goes into Gemini, because again, the moon goes into Gemini at 2:15 a.m. Central Standard Time. Early morning, between 6 a.m. and 8 a.m., the moon is going to hit a square from Saturn. And the only reason I keep connecting these two is because Pluto is in Saturn's sign. I've seen a continuous thing since March that every time we have these quick hits of moon to Pluto, moon to Saturn, moon to Pluto, moon to Saturn, there's something that plays out in the element, especially with the Gemini part. Not always in a heavy sense with Virgo, but definitely, definitely with this Gemini entry. Now, Saturn is always the elder, it's the authority figure, it's the responsible person who's responsible for what. The night before, we could have been talking to somebody about what responsibilities need to be had, who's in charge of what. Somebody got put in charge of something they didn't want to be in charge of, and then the next morning they're kind of salty about it. The energy changes once the moon goes into Gemini. And the thing is, the moon's going to be in Gemini Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. The moon is in Mercury's sign. Mercury is in retrograde, in its detriment. Re-entering a square to Neptune, moving towards Mars, barely just came over some type of resistant energy with the sun, and is still not entirely sure of everything that's going on. Be very aware of what kind of conversations are being had once the moon goes into Mercury, because this is going to, once the moon goes into Gemini, Mercury's sign, because this is where the dynamic of the holidays change. And some of the hot buttons and hot topic energies can come through between Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Now, the moon's square with Saturn early in the morning, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. The only other thing that's going to play out transit-wise on Sunday is the sun will have its exact sextile with Saturn, and that's going to happen between 11:08 a.m. and 11:31 a.m. Central Standard Time. So I have this December 24th at 11:30 a.m., and here's the sun in its sextile to Saturn. The sun in its detriment in Saturn's sign, making a sextile to Saturn. There can be a weight to some of the conversations that are starting up. There can be a heaviness in regards to responsibility or a previous lack thereof in responsibility. As we progress into something, we have to go back over things from the past. And remember, the Sun and Mercury, they're still in their Antiscia. They've just switched signs. So there's still going to be some level of opposition in some of the energy, but all of the opposition is stuff that we're meant to be able to get over, pending our ego can check itself. Now, the thing about the sun and its sextile to Saturn is this is perfecting like right as the moon is going over the full moon mark from that last week of November. So that Monday, the 26th, 27th. I didn't write that down. I apologize, guys. The last Monday of November was the full moon, and that was also Mercury squared to Neptune. So we had something that last week of November where we started a lot of like resistance to things, of things not people not seeing eye to eye on certain things and not being willing to overcome certain things. Then we're now in an element of overcoming certain things, overcoming a lot of past things, but we can also have elements of things from that week coming back up. That can be both positive and negative. So I'm going to take, this is the last like transit of the week. I'm going to take it off and I'll explain why I'm saying it can be a mixed element. Again, for some people, that week was a lot of holiday shopping. I'm going to throw myself an example for that. The reason I said at the beginning of this episode is like there's a few from the readings from the last week of December or November that's about to go out this week. The other thing I sold a lot of that week was gift certificates. So hear me out. Some people did Black Friday shopping, they did their Cyber Monday shopping, and right now it's going to be like seeing the purchase of something, the thing that's already been done at the next level. So that's a simple mundane thing is like, here's your gift. I bought it about a month ago. I bought it on Black Friday. I bought it through Cyber Monday. I bought it here. I bought it then. And this will be the unwrapping. And that's not a heavy energy. Some of us, though, we are just now overcoming very, very big humps. And some of the things that we're about to overcome energetically initiated for us back during that week in November. That last week of November. So the Thanksgiving weekend, going all through the last few days of November. We're going to start going back over elements of that time frame now. There were events that occurred during that time frame that have pushed us to reconnecting to people now. Somebody moved home. Grandpa passed away. And it's forced everybody to come back together, and it's forcing people to come back together. It's forced reconnections and recommunication that hadn't been there in a while. Part of the reason we had the olive branch was to not have anxiety and angst at a certain service, but that has led to more things now. During the Sun Neptune square, maybe the olive branch and the thing that we weren't necessarily excited to like jump at is the idea of like, you want me to come home for Christmas? I haven't been here in 3 years. I only came because of this ceremony, this situation, and I need time to think. They thought about it. By the end of the week, some of those people are going to come back. Some people are going to come to Christmas for the first time that they ain't been there in a long time. They ain't been in that energy in a long time. They ain't been in that house in a long time. And some elements of the nostalgia is going to be like, I remember how it used to look. I remember the way it used to be set up. But now, Grandpa's house isn't Grandpa's house anymore because your aunt lives there, your cousin lives there, somebody else lives there. And you have this weird, funky element of like nostalgia, but also seeing how much something has changed. And all up until that point, there's been this anxiety of like, I don't know if this is the right thing to do. I don't know. But once you get there, you're like, oh, fuck it. Now I'm here. I guess we're doing it. I guess this is the time to overcome. I guess this is the time to heal. There's a lot of people that are reconnecting in this holiday season because they had to do so much growth separately to be able to come back together. Whether that's a family, whether that's a couple, two individuals that they were dating for a while or they were together, they've been married, but then they had to separate. And then there's some element of this holiday that's nostalgically bringing them back together. And what's going to happen over the holidays is going to be the serious conversations as to whether we're going to turn something around or not. If I'm so serious, the best 2 days of the week to actually celebrate the holiday is Friday and Saturday. Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, with the moon going into Gemini, that dynamic changes. And some of the conversations that can be had cannot be taken well. And it's only because of the condition of Mercury that I say that. It all depends on how an individual is willing to accept their own levels of responsibility for the things that they've done, for the way that they've contributed to certain situations. If certain people are not willing to have the responsible part of that conversation, all they want to do is project their shit onto everybody else. No, I'm perfect. You're the asshole. You were always mean to me. You always took their side. I was always isolated, because that's their perspective. Understand, you can't make somebody heal faster than they're willing to heal. And if that's the way they feel, you need to let them feel that way and just apologize. Like, I'm sorry that that's the way that you feel, but that's not the way that we feel. And at some point, I hope you're willing to overcome that and work through this situation. But I have a feeling that a lot of people are going to be having some very specific, potentially heated conversations when we get into the holidays. More so after Christmas. The 26th and 27th are the peak of that. But I feel like the dynamic that leads to that peak starts after the moon goes into Gemini. That's Christmas Eve and that's Christmas Day. Be aware of the conversations you start to have through the holidays, because there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be very, very stuck on their laurels and very, very stuck in their beliefs, and this is the right way, whether it's politics or religion, it don't really matter. This is how I feel. This is what's right. And I will always use rednecks as my way to make fun of people in that one, because it's usually the rednecks that get stuck on their laurels like that. This is what's right. This is how I feel. I understand why you feel that way. I don't feel the same. And some people cannot accept if you are calm in that moment. Others, if you stay calm in that moment when they're stuck on their laurels and you don't, come back in a combative way, just kind of go, okay, that's how you feel. I don't feel that way. But we ain't got to talk about this right now. We ain't got to talk about your religion. We don't have to talk about politics. I don't really care about Trump. Because it's always Trump, right? Me. We don't really need to talk about that. We can talk about other things. And the thing about the other part too, the 24th, it doesn't happen on the 24th. It goes exact on the 25th. So I'm saving it mostly for the 25th, is we have Venus in that trine to Neptune. That's a very healing energy there. That's a very helpful energy. But with the moon going through Gemini and the condition of Mercury, the only way the healing energy can take full effect of overcoming adversity, overcoming the past, and overcoming all those situations that has kept us from being around the family is by not feeding into the bullshit. Don't let them pull that reaction out of you. Don't let them have that level of control. They ain't worth it. They're not worth your integrity. I said that in the Mercury retrograde video. Once we get to this point, as long as they're not doing anything that compromises your integrity, don't feed into it. If it's not your belief, we don't talk about beliefs. We can talk about something else. Let's talk about dogs. Let's talk about horses. Let's talk about anything else. Tell me about the farm. Tell me about any of this other stuff. Let's not talk about that. Because this one topic should not keep an entire family from being separated. It shouldn't be. We can have additional conversations that can be overcome. Some people are going to get stuck and they ain't going to have any other conversation but the one they want to have. Okay, let them have that conversation. You ain't got to be a part of it. There are other topics to be had. There can be other ways to heal. There can be other ways to overcome things, but there's going to be a lot of conversations that start to get had Christmas Eve and Christmas Day about the past. And some of us are going to be okay with that. And some of us are not going to be okay with it. We're not going to be ready for those questions. We're not going to be ready to have all of those conversations. I'm really just here to have a good time. Well, I want to know more about. I don't really care what you want to know more about, Grandma. It ain't about you right now. Aunt Sally, Aunt Susie, Uncle Joe. I don't really want to talk about that with you because my business is none of your business. I don't ask for your bank account number. You don't need to ask about my personal life. Easy as that. What's not the same? Yeah, it is, because your bank account is your personal business. My personal life is my personal business. Trust me. We don't need to talk about this. And find ways to strategically, if I could talk now, strategically put that stuff to bed. Let it go. Overcome it. If you can do that calmly, the way those other elders and the way those people that would normally push will receive it will be different. Trust me. I have had to play the diplomat way too many times in my family before. There is an awareness that is going to set in. You are not the same person that you used to be. Your elders are not in the same position that they used to be. And I'm saying a lot more regarding elders because we're talking about the holidays now. The likelihood that you're dealing with a bunch of authority figures on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, well, that all depends on what you do for a living. And if you have somebody in your life that they're working on these holidays, take them something. Take those nurses their dinner. I used to do this when my grandma was a nurse. Take them coffee. Take them dinner. Don't take them sweets. They get enough sweets. Take them sandwiches. Take them food. Take them something that can actually like fill their belly. Don't give them sweets. That they get enough of those. It's funny how many nurses get like pastries and cookies, but they're supposed to be like the people that manage health. So take them something a little healthy, but take them something that's hearty because it is the holidays. And it's cold outside. It's going to be a cold, dry winter for a lot of us. It's going to be a wet winter for some of the others. So I hope this is helpful. I love and appreciate every single one of you. Again, if you've purchased a reading that last week of November, I only have like 1 or 2 left, and those need to go out. And then the ones that purchased the first week of December, those are going to start going out this week too. So if you purchase readings during that time, they're about to come out to you. If you have had your reading, but you haven't scheduled your one-on-one, it is up to you to let me know when you are ready to do that, because I'm not going to judge how long it takes for you to process my readings. You need to let me know when you're ready. And if you have an interest in a reading for yourself, or if you're wanting to get a gift certificate for somebody else, just hit me up. I've got plenty of time for everybody to be able to do that. I try to work with everybody. If you want your initial, though, I do pre-recordings on all of my initial readings first. I never start out with a one-on-one with anybody, because I want to make sure you are getting a full understanding of the things that I'm picking up on. And I never do that as a one-on-one at first. I always start, the very first reading is going to be a pre-recorded reading. So I love and appreciate every single one of you. The holidays do not have to be terrible if you own yourself in this energy. Live with the energy. We're in a great place this week. I will talk to everybody very, very soon. Subscribe.